Drivers are seeing their hopes of a title rapidly disappearing. Michael Andretti has won once this year in the Swift chassis, but lack of development has cost him dear. Greg Moore will take the cheers of his home crowd here in Vancouver, but he'd rather take his third win of the year to follow his success in Milwaukee and Detroit. Paul Tracy has won 3 times and for much of the season was the points leader, but his Penske chassis has underperformed recently and he hasn't seen the podium since his win at St. Louis in May. Gilles de Ferran has yet to win at all, but has appeared on the podium 5 times in the last 7 races. He lies second in the table to the man they're all having to look up to. Alex Zanardi, winner of 5 races, the pole sitter here in Vancouver. His focus is on the title. It's a glorious day in British Columbia for the Molson Indy Vancouver, round 15 of the 1997 PPG Kart World Series. Hello and a very warm welcome from Ben Edwards and Jeremy Shaw on the day that Alex Zanardi could win $1 million. Zanardi enjoys a 39-point championship lead over Gilles de Ferran, who in turn has a 9-point cushion over Paul Tracy. Greg Moore and Michael Andretti are real outsiders for the title now, but not completely out of the hunt. Zanardi starts from his 4th pole position of the year after a breathtaking performance in both Friday and Saturday qualifying sessions on a track which he feels owes him a win. Down in the pit lane at the moment, the teams are just packing up the equipment, having just set their cars off on the parade laps, and Zanardi is already leading the field of 28 cars around. But what he hopes to avoid is what happened to him in 1996. He started from pole position on that occasion and pulled out quite a cushion over Michael Andretti until this accident with PJ Jones when trying to lap him put Zanardi dramatically out of the race. It also put him into an extremely bad temper, and he still hasn't made up with PJ Jones. He's not the only victim of the concrete walls. Gilles de Ferran has also found the concrete walls this weekend. This was Friday qualifying when Zanardi's main rival in the championship made contact with that wall very heavily. That damaged his primary car too much, and he will be starting in the backup car here today, which he qualified in yesterday's session. So Gilles de Ferran starts in 7th place on the grid, the closest to Zanardi in terms of the points table, but there are other people up there as well. Michael Andretti, remember, starting from the 2nd row of the grid. He's a 3-times winner here on the Vancouver street circuit. And Bobby Rahal, starting from 2nd position. Watch out for Bobby, because he's had a great run of success here over the years. Michael Andretti ride on board with Andretti, starting from that 4th position, and we'll also be seeing from onboard cameras with Christian Fittipaldi, and he'll be starting quite a lot further down the grid. He starts in 14th place. Fair bit of work for him to do to work his way up the order, but the race is a very, very open one. Very difficult to be smooth and quick through the first laps without getting into some sort of trouble, and Paul Tracy in particular will be looking to stay out of trouble from his starting position way down in 17th place. Jeremy, we're really set for a good race, I hope.
We certainly are. You know, Alex Zanardi has a 3/10 cushion over Bobby Rahal at the front of the field, but the next 9 cars, Ben, are covered by an identical margin, just 3/10 of 1 second. That's not very much at all. You said, as you say, the first couple of laps is going to be very, very difficult around here. The track is extremely bumpy, and when on cold tyres, it's going to be awfully difficult to maintain control over those bumps, particularly into the braking area.
Let's take a look at the grid in a little bit more detail then. On pole position, Alex Zanardi, if he wins today and leads the most laps, he'll be champion no matter what happens to any of his opposition. Bobby Rahal lines up 2nd, his best grid position for 4 years on a track where he has finished 2nd 3 times. Maurizio Gugelmin and Brian Herter next up, then Gilles de Ferran and Brian Herter. Further down the field, Dario Franchitti has qualified in 10th place ahead of Scott Pruitt and Raul Boesel. Andre Ribeiro and Christian Fittipaldi on the 7th row of the grid ahead of the 2 Mexicans, Michel Jourdain and Adrian Fernandez. Paul Tracy starts way down in 17th place alongside Parker Johnston. Next up is Max Papis and Roberto Moreno standing in for Patrick Carpentier. Richie Hearn has qualified alongside Alonso Jr., who's way down in 22nd. Christian Danner was fast in the warm-up this morning. Further back we've got PJ Jones and Hiro Matsushita. In the final row of the grid, Dennis Vitolo and Walter Sales. Sales, no time for him. He didn't go out in qualifying or in the practice days, but he did get out in this morning's warm-up session after some much-needed sponsorship came through. But for the Brazilian Walter Sales, he's going to have his work cut out. Jeremy, just talk us through this track a little bit.
Turn one there, very, very fast. He'd taken about 160 miles an hour in sixth gear. Then a longish straight, but very, very bumpy. Turn two is a flat-out kink to the right, and then very, very heavy braking into turn three hairpin. Very, very tight down there. That is the best opportunity to overtake on this racetrack.
It's also a dangerous place to overtake. Look at the race details. Race distance, 100 laps of this track, 1.7 miles. And the race record belongs to Alonso Jr. And indeed, he's got the most successes on this racetrack. 4 victories in the 7 years that it's been held here. The other 3 all going to Michael Andretti. The pit window, 28 to 35 laps, but in fact it's probably even wider than that if we allow for quite a few yellow flag laps, which are very, very likely here.
I think so. I think the cars have 35 gallons of methanol on board when they start this race. They're averaging around about 1.8 miles per gallon, so they can do pretty much 1 lap to 1 gallon. Actually a little bit more than that they will get, so they should be able to go 35 to 40 laps, I would say, and that's really even without any caution. So as you say, the windows here fairly wide. It'll probably be a 2-stop race in these 100 laps.
Of course, on one of the street circuits this year, the Detroit racetrack, we saw one team, the Pac West team, trying to go through on just 1 stop. I wonder if that's possible here. It's probably less likely. Maurizio Guterman starts in 5th place. Mark Blundell starts in 8th place. And just to let you know, they've both been confirmed to be staying with the Pac West team for the next 2 years. So Blundell and Guterman will remain teammates. But the cars are coming around now. We're preparing for the start of the first of those 100 laps. Alex Zanardi and Bobby Rahal on the front row together. Jimmy Vasser and Michael Andretti on the second row. The green flag flies, and Vasser's trying to take second from Rahal, and Zanardi gets a very clean start, and this is exactly what the championship leader needs. He's got away up front. Meanwhile, the battle's going on further back. Greg Moore's trying to get past Mark Blundell, and he has gone past Blundell as we go down to the hairpin. Now watch out for trouble here. This is where it can all go wrong. Through they squeeze. De Ferran ahead of Moore with Blundell just in there. Dario Franchitti, I saw, was just 1 place behind Mark Blundell, but so far, remarkably, Jeremy, they seem to have made it through safely.
Fingers crossed, very cleanly through that first hairpin turn, and that's, I spoke too soon. There's Dennis Vitolo with a problem. Dennis has been struggling all weekend. He's back in the Project Indy Lola this weekend, but he obviously stalled the engine. Got a quick push there from the kart safety team, and Vitolo on his way. That's good news.
Zanardi's got a bit of a gap already over Bobby Rahal. Jimmy Vasser in 3rd. Then Maurizio Guterman has started well. He's in 4th place from his 5th start. Oh, and Paul Tracy's in trouble. Tracy's in trouble, and Walter Sullers was there as well. He's collapsed the right front suspension.
That's amazing. That's 3 races running. Paul Tracy's been out on the first lap.
It's just turned so poor for Paul Tracy. Let's see if we can find out exactly what happened. Well, already when we picked it up, it was coming into the chicane, and already the contact had been made with somebody, and I wonder whether it was with Salis, although that's unlikely. Salis started right at the back of the field, and Paul Tracy started in 17th place, so the contact was probably with somebody a little further up the order. But Paul Tracy, 3 races in a row, he's failed to make it more than 2 laps into the race. Crushing disappointment for the Penske team once again, and Al Unser Jr. did make it round, I think, on that first lap. In fact, Al maybe just made up a little bit of ground on that first lap. Let's just see where he came round. He was in 17th position, so he made up a bit of ground from 22nd place. But as you watch the leaders go through, I can tell you that Paul Tracy is down in the pit lane. They're getting him out of the car. The right front suspension completely askew on that car, and Tracy, well, 3 races, 3 disasters, and the championship really completely disappeared now. Michael Andretti coming through in 5th place, but it's Zanardi who leads with 2 laps completed. Oh, and we've got Vitolo. Vitolo is off again, Jeremy.